I guess we can dispense with the it's nothing more than a common flu virus argument that we've been all hearing for so long. So I don't know what's going on with you guys in your particular states, but here in the Pacific Northwest, of course, Oregon just closed down all schools, public and private. Washington State is most likely is going to be following suit. I've even heard talk of states closing their own borders to one another, perhaps even closing the bridges from Oregon to Washington. Of course, you know, that would separate us from our family, from my parents specifically. So all these things are concerns. So what's a guy to do, you know? I'm not worried about the coronavirus for me and my family. It's the reaction and the break in supply chains and literally what's going to happen right now. History is being made. Life as we have known it in America is about to become radically different. It's already happening, and where it's going to go, who knows? I think personally, some of it's going to be for the good. I think some of it's going to be for the bad. Who are the players behind it? What's all of the political posturing to try to take advantage of this crisis is very interesting to watch. But there's not a lot of control we have over that. There's nothing we can do about that, but at the local level. If you haven't made preparations to shelter inside of your house, and again, not about fear, but if there's an outbreak in your area or at your job or school, do you have a refuge? Can you sit in there and can you wait that out? 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months? I don't know. I don't know what it is. So if you haven't started preparing already, is it too late? Just about. Literally just about. Mrs. W went down for what's going to be probably one of our last visits downtown for a while, and the cupboards are bare. There was none of the staples. The milk is gone, the chicken's gone, the butter's gone, the milk is gone. All of those things that we've come to rely upon that we just assume is going to be there are not necessarily going to be there. Now, will this supply chain catch up in a week or two? I don't know. Look at the longshoremen. They're talking about the docks being empty. So, this is going to get much, much worse. So, what's our plan? What are we going to do? Well, we're going to make the call probably in the next 24 hours whether or not we're going to basically shut the gate and park the tractor in the front and just check out. And stay at home until this passes over or what have you. I'll tell you, I was this morning, I was kind of going through our mental checklist. Every morning, Mrs. W and I have had a meeting, and she's handling kind of the house side of it and making sure that we have the things that we need for an extended stay. I'm managing more of the other side and the tools and the gas and the vehicles and all of that. And one thing that I was a little bit nervous about was I'd like to have had a little bit more fuel. And the generator, my big generator it was giving me a little trouble last time I used it too. So I thought, I'm just not comfortable with it. So I went out, and as you can see behind me here, I bought a 100-gallon tank, and I filled it up with non-ethanol fuel. This is a 108-gallon tank I've got on a pallet, so with the pallet jack I can easily move it around. Now this is filled absolutely to the top with the non-ethanol, so it'll store a long time. So we're going to put a crank on it so we can easily fill out of it the vehicles or equipment or whatever we find. This is the generator I settled on. This is the new Honda 7000 electric start, and it is supposed to be super, super quiet, which my other one is not. There's a lot more refined than the other one. This is actually the first fuel-injected a piece of Honda equipment that I have, so I'm kind of curious to see how it runs. Let's see what we got here. That's a nice unit there. It's got those oh so beautiful words on it, made in the USA. I'd like to see a bit more of that after this dust clears. I think we will too. These fill rights are really nice pumps. 100 revolutions will pump 10 gallons. That's about the volume, but really nicely built. I've used these in the past excavating. I got the one with the hose on it. So what you have here is, this is threaded to go into a bung. You could use it on a 55-gallon drum, or the big tanks are all standardized as well. And there's a pickup tube that goes on the bottom that's adjustable. So this will adjust to whatever your tank is, so it can accommodate that. Oh, it's got a cute little wood handle on it. That's about all there is to it. I like these fill rights because of this feature right here, that little notch on there. You always have a place to put that dripping fuel line. It's a good design. Don't put off getting fuel. If you've got empty cans in your shop and you've been putting it off or hoping it's going to get cheaper, get it now, because that same rush, it's still available, but that same rush that happened to the food, the next thing is going to be the gasoline. And a lot of people are wringing their hands and pretty sorry that they didn't get that food earlier. One thing that kept coming up in the comments are guys saying, well, you're just causing more panic. Your people like you are causing people to buy everything up. And that's completely not, I don't think that's true at all. Again, several weeks ago, I said, hey, guys, you start getting the stuff, and get what you need, and, before it gets to the point where we're at today, and you can't get anything at all. So don't put off that gasoline and diesel. Fill up every can you can get and have that on hand. I just put oil in it, hooked up the battery. This is the first generator I've ever had that's got electric start. I know that's something that Mrs. W has been very keen on. She has trouble starting those big ones. So what we have here, we got 120, 240 volt switch, key start. We got a timer there, or a little display that shows hours, voltage, or how many volts are going out, RPMs, and then if the battery's charging. We got a 30 amp tri-pin. We've got two GFI'd 20 amps circuit breakers. This is the eco throttle, so this will automatically throttle down and only run as hard as it needs to run. Circuit protector, 30 amp. I don't know what that is. I guess it's for this one. Oh, there's a 4-pin, 30 amp. So this is what we can use to connect to the house. Should we fire it up? Oil, gas. Yeah, we're ready. Boy, that is quiet. Point the exhaust at. I'm going to let that thing run up to temperature, and I'll put a slight load on it, vary the RPMs, break it in here the next couple hours. But that's a smooth running engine. That's really, really quiet. I guess that's probably about all the time we have for today. So be sure, do what you can, get yourself in order. I guess, for us, I guess what we're thinking is, we can keep pushing it till the point where we're increasing our risk of exposing one of us and then bringing it home to the family, having to deal with that, and then quarantining then, or we can just do it now. Again, we've been 10 years. This has been 10 years preparing for something like this, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Yeah, it's not going to be as easy, and we're not going to have the selections that we've been so accustomed to having. But really narrow it down. Think about what it is that's important for your family. That'd be water and fuel and having some food. One little tip: if you haven't filled up your pantry, if you haven't got food, that you guys can sustain you while you're inside, and you live in a city and everything is gone, you can, if you venture out into the rural areas, there's going to be a better chance of you getting something. You might have to drive an hour or so because all of this panic. Of course, things happen quicker in cities, and that people react quicker, and sometimes it takes another week or two for these people being afraid or this fear to trickle out to the country areas. And I think for country folk, they're not so they're not so overly so concerned about it, because a lot of them are in the same position we are. We've got food for ages. We've got firewood cut. We're fine. If we're up here for 6 months, we're fine. You know, we just don't have any issues. So I don't feel like I'm under that stress. And a lot of folks that live in the country are in the same position. So get in your car, drive out a little bit, get away from the rat race where everyone else is going, and you might be able to still find some stuff. But keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families. This is not, don't be afraid. This is an exciting time. We're going to talk about this to our grandkids, hopefully one day. And I think more good's going to come out of it than bad. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.